Get one day closer on Makayo Messenger. Welcome to Makayo Messenger. It's great to be with you all today, and we have some exciting things to share. As you know, we had a previous video on the Euphrates River. If you haven't seen that already, be sure to go to our website and check it out. It was a pretty popular video there, and we kind of went over a lot of interesting developments. Now, that was 2 months ago that we made that video, and got a lot of interest there. Well, I thought it was about time that we follow up on that and kind of see what's happening in the Euphrates River. And we got some interesting things to share, guys. So pretty exciting stuff. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, that subscribe bell, that notification bell, so you don't miss any of our videos. But the military is getting ready, getting their capabilities together. And according to this colonel, they don't have the capabilities that they once had. And there was a time back in 2003 when they had to cross the Euphrates River. And they said they couldn't. He says it couldn't be done today. If they had to do it today, they wouldn't be able to make it across. And maybe they won't need to because God is drying up the river already. So it's interesting that he happens to bring out the Euphrates River. This just came out today that he's talking about this. And he says the Marines would not succeed on this or any other similar battlefield today. The assault, breaching, and bridging needed are gone. The experience and expertise to quickly and effectively employ non-organic bridging and breaching assets are also gone. When the infantry calls out engineers up, no one will be there to respond. But he said back in 2003, they had the bridging capability to cross the Euphrates River. So could this all be part of why God is drying up that river? We know the kings of the east are also going to be coming across, but it could all be part of making way and making it easier for the military to take action. We know that dams upstream in Turkey are combined with lesser rainfall is what's causing the Tigris and the Euphrates to flow at very low levels and are threatening to dry up the two biblical significant rivers. Check this out, guys. I had to go Swahili for you, man. That's how much I love you guys. And some shouts out here. I see Rook in the fellowship, Megan. G is the final Adam, Odds, David, Shelia, AB, J Lovely, Servant of Yahweh, EJ, David, Blair, Woman of Valor, Randall. If I missed you, don't take it personally. Just reading through quickly there. But guys, I had to go Swahili for you here. So very interesting. Never had to translate Swahili before, but this was quite an experience. But check out some of these pictures. Okay, so this is, of course, when the river was hopping and bopping. But since that time, things have been getting kind of dried out. Now, check out this photo here. I thought this was interesting. It looks like 3 small skulls inside there. Very intriguing picture there. I'm going to read you some of the captions from these pictures that I translated. Of course, we have these famous compartments that obviously are man-made or being made. It's not a natural formation there that's going on. Here we've got a military soldier actually going into the caves, digging a little bit deeper here. And here's one of the locals with an up-close shot checking the caves out. Now, that looks like those are different openings than those bigger rectangular ones that we saw, but similar types of openings there. You kind of wonder, what did they keep in there? Were they keeping angels in there? What's going on? Here's some deep tunnels going way back, complete with the river. And then here's a city. Now back in the day, in the previous video, you'll remember we talked about how there was a woman there who built the tunnel under the Euphrates River so that she wouldn't have to take a boat across. She could just walk across under this tunnel. And here's one of the old cities that they found that connects with that time period. And here is that woman, I believe, at least a depiction of her. And here it is, the Euphrates drying up pretty seriously there. Here's some more photos of the caves, which is really interesting. I'm going to read you some of these captions in just a second. I just want to show you the photos first. And very interesting. Here's some more. And they're all these interesting. It's very intriguing because they're all different, but they're all kind of these same kind of several holes next to each other. Like, why? Why would you make that? Was something tied around where they use as posts, to chain up the angels? What was the reasoning behind these different little openings that are in the rocks there? And I'm going to read you some of these findings here that are underneath the photos. So it says, according to a traditional priest in Iraq about the tunnel, the locals believe that this tunnel may contain another world. There is a hidden mine. Okay, so it's kind of like the dwarves from Lord of the Rings or something, where they had the mines. We have to go through the mines. So they believe there's a hidden mine in there. I don't know what kind of mine, if it's gold or what they're digging exactly, but that's interesting. Here's another quote from under the photo. It says, "Conventional wisdom, this tunnel leads to an unknown country. There are angels and angels." That's an interesting phrase. Are we talking about angels versus demons? Why would you say angels twice? It's kind of intriguing. And this one says, "However, no mountain was found under the river. Only the door of mystery has opened the Euphrates tunnel." The door of mystery. So that phrase is kind of a mystery. We need to dig a little bit deeper into this door of mystery. But check this out. I found some cool more Euphrates connections to the Bible. Of course, most of us are familiar with Revelation 9 and 16, talking about the angel pouring out the bowl on the Euphrates and the angels that are bound the four angels that are bound there at the Euphrates that are waiting to be released. Kind of reminds me of that movie when Tom Cruise, The War of the Worlds, where those the aliens were already in the ground. They'd been there for years, and then finally the time came and they were released. The aliens in that case, in this case it would be angels. But what's very interesting here, as I looked at some more Euphrates scriptures, of course we know about the Garden of Eden also ties into the river Euphrates because, as you know, the Garden of Eden was on the four rivers of the Euphrates, the Pishon, the Gihon, the Tigris, and Euphrates. So in any case, I want to read you some other interesting ones that I found here. I'm just kind of looking at the screen, making sure you can read what I'm reading here. So what God originally said to Abraham and the promises that he gave was that you would have all this land up to the Euphrates River, right? That's as far as you would go. Well, what's interesting now is the Euphrates is drying up. So what does that mean? Does that mean God is expanding the territory that he's going to give? Does that mean his children, for example, we are his children? Does that mean when we reign with him, it will go beyond the Euphrates? Up to that point, it was up to the Euphrates. But if there is no Euphrates, well, then it's game on, it sounds like. So it seems kind of interesting that God is drying that up, that he made such a distinction about the Euphrates and being the end of their land, and now he's drying up the Euphrates, so there's no limits anymore. But a couple of interesting, intriguing things that stood out to me here. So that was his covenant with Abraham. Here in Joshua, he says, let's see here. He talks about how your ancestors, he says, "But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." So it's interesting. He says this a couple times, talking about how they brought from beyond the Euphrates River, that they brought these gods, these false gods with them. And God was upset about that. See, when you live beyond the Euphrates River and worshipped other gods. So it's interesting now that Euphrates River is being opened up so that now those other gods can come back into play, right? We've got the kings of the East, and, kings can have a double meaning, whether it be physical human kings or whether it be something more like the Wraith, again, from Lord of the Rings. I keep using that, but, it just comes to mind, whether it's more these kind of demonic, just like Abaddon, the destroyer, the king of the abyss. Are these going to be kings of these false gods coming across the Euphrates? It was the Euphrates like a boundary. God said, this is to be your land. Maybe he left a boundary for the angels that you can't cross. You shall not pass. So he's now taking away that boundary, that Euphrates, and maybe now these false gods of Baal and so forth, Abaddon and so forth, will come across that river way. So I thought that was kind of intriguing that God made that distinction, that the gods were across the Euphrates River, and that Euphrates River is no longer there to cross and no longer there to keep them at bay. Also, a couple other interesting ones here. In Isaiah, it says, "In that day the Lord will use a razor hired from beyond the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria." Now, many people talk about how the king of Assyria is, that the Antichrist will be of Assyrian nature as well as Jewish nature, and to shave your heads and private parts, what? And to cut your beards off also. Whoa, that sounds serious. And but anyway, I think about this razor hired, like a razor hired, what an interesting thing. A razor hard, like he's come to cut you. He's come to cut off your beard. Like the beard is so significant of the Jewish way of life that they were not to cut their beards. And it's like a humbling, that God is going to do here. But they're beyond the Euphrates River. But then once that river dries up, then they can move on in. It says, the Lord will dry up the gulf of the Egyptian sea with a scorching wind. He will sweep his hand over the Euphrates River. He will break it up into 7 streams so that anyone can cross over in sandals. Now, that makes me think about this picture we saw down here that's dried up that kind of looks like 7 streams. Look at this. You kind of get this breaking off of different streams, and people can cross over in their sandals. Wow, that's kind of interesting. And then one more I wanted to share with you here in Jeremiah. Oh, I thought this was kind of interesting. It says, when you finish reading this scroll, tie it to a stone, tie a stone to it, and throw it into the Euphrates. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if they happened to find that scroll of Jeremiah? Now you think, well, a scroll, how's it going to last in water? I don't know. God can do amazing things, but it was in a stone. He specifically wanted it to be a stone. Maybe it was to drag it to the bottom so it would be covered with earth and protected. I don't know, but it'd be something interesting for some treasure hunters to be looking for. They might find at least a stone with a cord tied around it. Whether the scroll is there or not, it'd be interesting to pull that up